From the Denver Broncos Media Center, welcome to Broncos Country Tonight.
Welcome to Broncos Country Tonight. It's a new day in Denver. According to reports, the Broncos are set to hire Sean Payton as their next head coach. And to break it all down with me, the great Steve Atwater in studio.
Hey, what's up, Ryan Edwards, man? This is an exciting day for Broncos Country. Got a new head coach, a winning head coach, a guy who's proven. And Broncos Country's got to be fired up.
I think we're all fired up. I mean, the process in itself, I don't know. It was a weird deal, right? Because you got all the reports that were coming out, but yet the Broncos themselves weren't really saying anything. And they said they wanted to make a big swing. They said they wanted to bring in a coach with experience. In the end, you checked about every single box you could possibly look at, including by the fact of one of the offensive innovators of the NFL.
No, that's 100% true. And he and Harbaugh were, I think, the top two candidates right from the start. And, there were reports that one guy was in, one guy was out, both guys were out, both guys are in. But I'm glad it's finally done, and we have a quality head coach who I think is going to be here for a long time. And that's a great feeling, I know, for the players, the coaches. I know they got to feel some comfort about that.
Now, according to the reports, as we understand it, the Broncos are sending this year's first-round pick, which is 29th overall, and it looks like they'll be swapping a second and third in next year's draft, which honestly, from where I'm sitting right now, is really tremendous. I expected the Broncos were going to probably have to send a little bit more, but maybe by the process of this thing playing out a little longer than many expected, maybe not the Broncos, but for many of us, longer than expected, maybe that sort of drove down the price just a little bit for the Broncos in this process.
Yeah, I would say so because if the deal hadn't gotten done, guess what? New Orleans wouldn't have that first-round pick. So,
right.
They were motivated to get something done and not make it to where it's too onerous on the Broncos. And, it's a good, fair deal, a fair deal for both sides, I think.
Yeah, certainly. So first order of business, of course, is what Sean Payton thinks of this offense, what he thinks about the quarterback. And certainly when you're talking about some of the offensive numbers that they put up last year, it's just not enough to really be competitive game in, game out. And we've seen, I think, historically for the NFL, yeah, there are certain adages about the postseason. You want to have good defense. You want to be able to run the ball. But we've seen consistently, if you're not one of the top half of the league offenses in the NFL, bordering on top 10, you just can't really win consistently.
No, I agree with that. And I think with Sean Payton, not only is he going to focus on the pass game, but he's going to have a solid run game. Alvin Kamara down there, he was balling out, and he was a focal point. And hopefully Javonte Williams can get back this year. If not, I think they'll still have to invest in another running back of some sort. I got a couple of guys in mind. I won't say the names right now, but, they're going to be focused, I think, on not only passing but running the ball, because that's a huge part of being able to keep the ball away from other offenses by staying on the field and keeping their defense on the field.
Well, and it's going to help Russell Wilson. Like we've seen over the course of his career, when he's had a really strong run game, what he's been capable of. And I understand part of, I think, the motivation for him to move to Denver and be traded here was he really wanted to sort of prove to everybody that he could be more than just sort of a quarterback in the cog of the machine, right? I mean, sometimes people talked about the Seattle Seahawks offense and said, well, it's a great run game. They play really good defense, really good special teams. And Russell Wilson makes some magic happen here and there. But for the most part, it's built around everything else. I think Russell Wilson wanted to strike out and show people, hey, I can be more than that. But the fact is, I still think he can be more than that, but it still needs the support of a run game. It still needs the support of him working within the boundaries, if you will, of what he does best.
Yeah, I mean, there's this narrative out there that Russ wants to do something opposite of winning, to put himself up there. I just don't know if I buy that. I think that it wasn't a fit, apparently, Russ's talents and the offense last year. But I think Russ knows that hey, you got to have a reliable, solid run game to go along with any good passing game. Very few teams are able to win with just a quarterback throwing the ball. They also got to be able to keep the ball away from other teams when other teams have great offenses. So I'm not wanting to buy into that Russ has somehow turned everyone's opinion or is being the selfish person on the team and just wants to pass the ball. I'm just not buying into that.
Well, and I guess what I think is going to be fascinating, because as we know, Sean Payton comes from the Bill Parcells tree, and Bill Parcells famously not really into the quarterbacks who kind of have the brand or have all the extracurriculars off the field. He wants a quarterback that is all in on the game. And so I'm interested to see.
All quarterbacks have other stuff going on.
Well, they do. But again, this isn't necessarily a specific dig at Russell Wilson. This is just more of an acknowledgement of, Russell Wilson comes in here. His wife is a superstar singer. They're opening stores in the mall. Like not all quarterbacks do those kinds of things. And I'm not saying that he has to get rid of all of that. The point being here is I'm interested to see how Sean Payton manages him and wants him and can maybe get him dialed in a little bit.
Yeah, well, I think it's more a matter of, Sean Payton and Russell Wilson, getting that rapport, being on the same page. I don't think it has anything to do with his wife or his house, how many bathrooms you have. That doesn't have anything to do with it.
I didn't even mention that. What are you talking about? What are you talking about with the bathrooms?
As long as Russ can get honed in and focused and learn this offense, I think it's going to be great. And I get tired of hearing all that stuff, man. Everybody's talking about all the stuff that has nothing to do with football. And it drives me crazy sometimes.
Oh, you mean the whole bathrooms, touchdowns things? I didn't even bring that up. You brought that up.
No, I didn't bring it up. I'm just saying. I've heard that. I've heard it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, you are on social media all the time, so that makes sense. I'd invite you, by the way, sometimes put your phone down. Just enjoy life. It's a beautiful day outside. Those kinds of things.
Great advice, Ryan. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Anyway, a couple more things here on the hiring of Sean Payton. Again, per reports. I think that if nothing else, and one of the things we had a chance to chat with Lance Moore and Deuce McAllister on KOA yesterday, and talking to those guys and talking about the kinds of players that Sean Payton wants on his team. I thought that was a really fun conversation, because there's a certain attention to detail that not only he brings to the squad, but also that he expects out of those guys. And not to mention, lack of discipline. We talked about that just a couple of days ago, about how you're going to try to move past some of those problems. He is a fiery leader. And he demands a certain amount of excellence. And I think with all of that, he brings in that cachet that he's done it. When sometimes with these other first-year head coaches, they're still trying to figure out who they are, how they're going to lead, how to really be a head coach and a CEO of an entire team rather than just one side of the ball. So Sean Payton's done that. He's done that for 15 years. I think when he gets here, that's going to be one of those things I think everybody's get on my page, or we're going to be going in a different direction.
Yeah, and we know, like Russell Wilson's going to be here for a while. Guess what? Sean Payton's going to be here for a while as well. And, players are going to have to come in and buy into his system and do things the way that he wants things done. And I think that's the way that it's supposed to be. Will it rub everybody the right way? I'm sure it won't. There'll be some guys who won't take to it. But guess what? You got to find a way to deal with this, especially if you want to be a part of this change that's going on.
Well, but also you're talking about a team and a culture that is desperate to win. So for me, if I'm Sean Payton, the first thing I say is, okay, guys, what's important to you? Are individual accolades important, or do you want to get back to winning? Are you tired of losing to the Kansas City Chiefs?
We haven't got many individual accolades either, though. I mean,
not really. So that's what I'm saying. Like there's very little that I think anybody can come in with an ego, right? I remember when Vic Fangio took over and he's calling out Von Miller in his first press conference. Well, Von Miller was an individually high accolade player, right? There was a certain amount of like, oh, wow, this is interesting. But with Sean Payton coming in here, it's like, okay, well, hey, congratulations, Pat Surtain on making the All-Pro and Justin Simmons. And, but outside of that, there's just really nothing else that this team is saying, well, hold on now. I am a 10-time Pro Bowl, or any one of these guys, they have nothing to really hold up other than this last year was a 5-win season, got our head coach fired, not even through the whole thing, and that's where you start.
But the funny thing about that is, if there were more guys in there who were Pro Bowlers, high guys who had a bunch of awards or whatever, or accolades, those guys would probably be the easiest to coach.
Yeah.
Right. They're the guys who are open to getting better and improving and buying into the team. So hopefully we will, Coach Payton can help develop some more of those guys to where guys are getting accolades left and right.
Absolutely. Well, certainly very exciting. We're going to have plenty more over this next several weeks to sort of break down and talk about. I can't wait to get into how each individual offensive players can fit. I'm thinking like Michael Thomas role for Cortland Sutton, lining up in the slot. Oh, man. It's going to be so much fun. What are you talking about? This is perfect. It's perfect for him. Running some of those inside slants and dig routes. I mean, come on now. Come on, man. Let's go.
Okay, all right.
You know what I'm talking about, Steve.
We'll see.
All right. For Steve Atwater, I'm Ryan Edwards. Thanks for watching Broncos Country Tonight.
Denver's going to win it. You can stand up and salute in Denver, and you got the world champions that live in your town.